No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of WWE's Fastlane Premium Live event. A lot to discuss here. Despite there only being 5 matches, it was an eventful Premium Live event. Jeremy Dorset sent in a $1.30 super chat. Thank you for that, Jeremy. Much appreciated. He left no comment. Before we get to the WWE show, I did want to briefly talk about Collision. AEW Collision started 1 hour earlier than usual, so I did check out the first hour, and I was surprised. We have new AEW Tag Team Champions. FTR lost in dominating fashion to Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Big Bill chokeslammed Cash Wheeler through the announce table very early in the match, and then it was basically 2-on-1. They made quick work of Dax Harwood. I was not expecting a title change. Now, there's a lot of speculation, but let's make it clear here. FTR is not going anywhere. They are under contract to AEW for a long time. They are happy. Dax Harwood tweeted out that they're not going anywhere. There is speculation that maybe Cash Wheeler is hurt, which has not been confirmed. A definite turn of events here, and we'll see where things go with that. We'll talk more about that in the coming days, but everyone's here for Fastlane. So let's get into it. Before we get started, though, Psycho Jet Black with the $1 million question sent in $2 for that. Better soda, Diet Pepsi or Diet Pepsi Zero? I think I like Diet Pepsi more than the Pepsi Zero Sugar, but they're close to equal for me. I actually did a video with my thoughts on all the different diet sodas. I did a blind taste test. You can check that out at my personal YouTube channel at Aaron Rift. Anyways, opening match of Fastlane was for the tag team titles. Damian Priest and Finn Bálor defending their championships against Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Cody and Jey were working well together in the early moments, but Judgment Day being the veterans, the tag team with the experience, they were able to get the upper hand. Cody eventually got a hot tag. It was back and forth for a while. And just as Jey and Cody were perhaps on the verge of winning the titles, surprise, surprise, guess who shows up? Mommy, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic Mysterio. They come down to the ring, and Jey gives Dominic a super kick. He has a stare down with Rhea, but Judgment Day was able to take advantage. They got Jey back in the ring. Bálor came off the top with coup de grace, but Cody was able to break up the pin at the last moment. Jey made a comeback, but then you had JD McDonough out there on top of everything. Rhea Ripley hit Jey with the briefcase while the referee was distracted. And Bálor went for the cover, but Jey still managed to kick out despite being hit with the briefcase. Damian Priest gave Cody a choke slam on the apron, and then JD McDonough went to use the briefcase on Cody, but accidentally hit Damian Priest in his bad leg. Priest was selling his leg, and JD McDonough accidentally took out Priest's bad leg. At this point, Cody finished off Priest on the outside with a crossroads, and then back in the ring, Jey and Cody double-teamed Bálor. Cody pinned Bálor with the Crossroads to give himself and Jey Uso the WWE Tag Team titles. I did not expect this to happen, considering that Judgment Day just won the titles, but they're continuing to tease issues within the Judgment Day. I'm a little surprised, but we do have new tag team champions. We'll see how long it lasts. I guess in a way, Cody finished the story. He needed to win some gold, and he got his championship. Granted, it's not the world title, but he does have a championship. Congratulations to Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. And they were way over. Both guys extremely over. Feel good moment. Live crowd was going crazy. I was thinking Judgment Day would be united for Survivor Series, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And for now, this does mean, even though he was on SmackDown, Cody can go to SmackDown whenever he wants now that he is one half of the tag team champions. I actually picked Judgment Day to retain. But very good match here to kick off the show. And then we had the Latino World Order going up against Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. 6-man tag team match. Latino World Order had a mystery partner, but that person did not show up right away. It was just Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar 2-on-3. Now, in kayfabe terms, logically, in the story, why would Rey and Santos not have their third person out there? Are they like, we'll just handle it 2-on-3, and if we need your help, if we're desperate, then you come out there? This person shows up from wherever to not even potentially be in the match. Kind of weird to me, but I get why this was done, because they wanted to build the anticipation for the big reveal. Anyways, good match here, but as you would expect, the numbers game did catch up with Rey and Santos. Zelina Vega got involved a little bit at one point. She gave Montez Ford a Meteora on the outside of the ring, but it was still looking rough for Rey and Santos, and not really a surprise here. I think most people were expecting this. Carlito is back, and it appears that he is back for real now. It's not just a one-off. He has new merchandise and, well, he has new entrance music, which is good because it means he's back, but I'm going to miss the old theme song. Maybe I'll get used to the new one, another Def Rebel track. But yeah, that's a sign that he is back permanently now as a regular member of the SmackDown roster. Big pop for Carlito, and the tide turned at this point. Carlito managed to pick up the victory here. He pinned Montez Ford with the backstabber. I initially was predicting Street Profits and Lashley to win because I think that they needed the win. But when WWE did the angle on SmackDown, I changed my pick. I figured you're not bringing back Carlito in a 6-man here just to have LWO lose. And they did not lose. They picked up the big win here. And I think at this point, you'll see the Profits and Bobby Lashley start to dominate. Carlito needed to win his first match back, but I agree. At this point, we really need to see the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley dominating in WWE. Shanti is cooler than you sent in a $2 super chat. Says, Rey Mysterio looked like a highlighter with his wrestling gear. Rey always has unique ring attire. I still remember the 1997 Halloween Havoc attire. That was an all-time classic. He's had some really interesting ones, and this was definitely up there. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Psycho. Says, imagine Carlito bringing back Jesus. If you know, you know. Well, funny thing you mentioned that, because after the match, there was a picture of Carlito backstage with John Cena. They made amends. They're cool now. After 20 years ago, when Carlito had Jesus try to kill John Cena, stabbing him in a nightclub or whatever it was. All these years later, John Cena is a very forgiven man, and he made peace with Carlito. Next up, we had a triple threat match for the Women's Championship for SmackDown. I guess it's the WWE Women's title. I'm not even sure. I think the Raw title is the World Heavyweight title, and the SmackDown title is the WWE Women's title. Whatever. Anyways, Io Sky defending against Charlotte Flair and Asuka. In the storyline, Io was saying she did not want Bayley out there helping her. Asuka sprayed mist right in the face of Charlotte when the match started. Io was able to prevent the pin. Officials were checking on Charlotte and acting like she might be out of the match. This could take a long time for her to recover, but she did in fact recover. She was out for a few minutes. She got back in it. For a short period, Asuka and Io were working together, but Charlotte was able to build up some momentum despite being misted earlier. Charlotte even busted out her top rope moonsault to the outside. And then back in the ring, Charlotte hit Asuka with a spear. Asuka managed to kick out of it. They did a Tower of Doom spot where Charlotte and Io were on the top rope. Charlotte had Io on her shoulders, and then Asuka came in, powerbombed Charlotte while Io was still on Charlotte's shoulders. Big pop there for that. And then Asuka came off the top rope with a code breaker to Charlotte. Charlotte kicked out of that. And Bayley showed up. Bayley, despite Io not wanting her at ringside, Bayley was out there, and Bayley did end up being the difference maker. Charlotte had the figure eight on Asuka. Bayley distracted the referee, so the referee did not see any tap out from Asuka. Io then came off the top with a moonsault onto Charlotte and pinned Charlotte to retain the championship. I was not surprised that Io retained, but I was surprised that it was Charlotte that took the fall. I thought for sure it was going to be Asuka. Really good match here. They got a lot of time. And I will say this, every match on this show got a good amount of time. So, 5 matches, you could say quality over quantity. They definitely gave each match a lot of attention. In a way, it felt like a takeover in terms of each match being treated like a top attraction and not just time filler. So in that regard, this was a really strong show. And I'm not complaining. I definitely like keeping the pay-per-view card short. 2.5 to 3 hours, I think, is ideal. The Vince Russo may or not be Vince Russo. I mean, Vince Russo does sometimes reply to no DQ tweets. Says, they will never let Carlito spit the apple in people's faces with COVID now a thing, bro. That was the only over thing Carlito ever did. We might see it, although in today's WWE, they really don't like spitting in general. I think that was a PG decision and not a COVID thing. I don't think they've done actual spitting in probably a decade at least, if not longer, maybe since 2008, 2009. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat and says, Carlito should be the new spokesman for Snapple. There you go. Submit that idea to WWE. That'll be WWE's next sponsorship. By the way, Pizza Hut was sponsoring that tag team match, and they had on the LED ring apron the Pizza Hut logo with the slogan, "Nobody out pizzas the Hut." And after the match, Xavier Woods bought a pizza, like one of those big boxes with the pizza and the breadsticks and the wings. Got that from Michael Cole and Corey Graves. It is what it is. You know, these sponsorships, they're going to happen whether you like them or not. And it was fine. Didn't really bother me. I like Pizza Hut, so not complaining. We had John Cena and LA Knight. Yeah. Going up against the Bloodline, Jimmy Uso, and Solo Sikoa. Now, before the match, we had Pat McAfee show up. Now, this was in Indianapolis. So Pat McAfee, hometown guy, came out there, major pop, and he basically teased the idea that Indianapolis might get WrestleMania. This isn't the first time we've seen something like this. John Cena was out there at Money in the Bank teasing that London might get WrestleMania at some point. He said that he was happy to be there, of course. He put over the city for being loud, and then he introduced John Cena. McAfee sat down on commentary, which I'm always happy to have him on commentary. This match, it was very average in the sense of, you know, it was the beat down John Cena for a long time, and it really dragged on. If I had to criticize the match, I will say that the beatdown on Cena went on maybe too long. But they were really trying to build up the LA Knight hot tag, and it did work. So I can only criticize it so much. When LA Knight finally tagged in, he got a massive pop. He came in there, did his moves, you know, the elbow, and came off the top, jumped up to the top rope and did the superplex. And Solo was very dominant in the match, but they managed to get him out of the ring, and crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." Like all four guys were down at one point. Cena came off the top of the crossbody, and then Jimmy immediately hit him with a big splash. So the crowd was loving the match. And after Solo was taken out of the equation, Cena hit the 5-knuckle shuffle to Jimmy, and then LA Knight got the pin on Jimmy with the blunt force trauma. After the match was over, Cena went to raise LA Knight's hand, but LA Knight refused. And instead, LA Knight raised John Cena's hand in a big show of respect. Match was entertaining for what it was. I mean, definitely not an all-time classic or anything, but it accomplished what it needed to, and that's taking LA Knight to the next level. So in that sense, it was very successful. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, says, who's more screwed, Judgment Day or Jimmy Uso? I would say neither at this point. I mean, I think there's still more layers to all these storylines going on right now, and Judgment Day still has more to come. And Jimmy, I suspect it's going to be Jimmy versus Jay at WrestleMania. That's going to be a huge match. And there'll be more with Roman Reigns, I'm sure. Gomer Kyle sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, do you think the red mist is a shout out from Seth Rollins to bloody Jon Moxley? I suppose it's possible, but that would surprise me. I know typically they do the green mist, so the red mist is in a way having blood or having color without actually having real blood. But we'll get to that here in just a few moments. Thank you for the super chat, Gomer Kyle. Before the main event, a couple things. First of all, I forgot to mention that during the kickoff, Jade Cargill showed up. She did not actually appear on the pay-per-view itself, but they did show her arriving to the building, and Triple H greeted her as she came in. So Jade Cargill definitely getting the star treatment. I think they did show the footage during the pay-per-view, but she actually did not appear in front of the fans. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Oh, we met McDonough. See, when you put JD, it could mean Judgment Day. It could mean JD McDonough. He could be done. McDonough could be done with Judgment Day. We'll have to see where this goes. But, there's been speculation that maybe Damian Priest will leave Judgment Day. So before the match, the main event for the world title, Judgment Day was shown backstage and Damian Priest was hurt. He wanted to go out there and cash in the Money in the Bank contract. But Rhea Ripley said no, he's hurt. It's too risky. And she actually took the briefcase away from Damian Priest. Now, some people thought this was going to be a swerve, but I did like that they did this. It obviously continues the tension between JD McDonough and Damian Priest. And also it created more intrigue in the main event, because is Damian Priest actually going to cash it in? Is he not cashing it in? So it did make the main event a little bit more interesting for me personally, because I was still wondering what's going to happen here. Anyways, Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was an excellent match, and I would say this was Nakamura's best WWE match. And this includes the Sami Zayn match, which was a great match, but this was a pay-per-view main event, and Nakamura really hasn't delivered in these big match situations. But I thought they really had a fantastic match here, and they made the most out of the Seth Rollins back story, with Rollins having the bad back. They were brawling all over the place. It was a very physical match. Rollins had his back all taped up, and we had tables, we had chairs, kendo sticks. Nakamura had nunchucks that he was using, and they fought in the crowd several times. And one of the times they were fighting in the stands, and Nakamura gave Rollins a low blow. Rollins did not learn from AJ Styles. He got hurt from the low blow, and then he fell off the platform all the way down. There was another platform that was set up below to further injure his back. And then they fought back by the ringside area, and you had Nakamura laying out Rollins on the announce table, or not the announce table, just a regular table. Nakamura came off the top with double knees, putting Rollins through the table. Rollins beat the 10 count, and then they fought by the announce table. There was a ladder that Rollins pulled out from under the ring. They both climbed the ladder, and Nakamura spit that red mist, as mentioned earlier, in the face of Rollins, and Rollins crashed back first through the announce table, somehow still managed to beat the count by grabbing onto the ladder. The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." They were loving the match. And they got back in the ring. Rollins was put through a chair, the same thing that Nakamura did on Raw. And then he gave Rollins the Kinshasa that sent Rollins through a table that was set up in the corner. And this could have been the finish. Like it looked brutal. Rollins still managed to roll to the outside of the ring to beat the count. And then they fought back into the stands. They were on top of a platform. The tide turned here. Rollins gave Nakamura a pedigree on the platform, followed by a curb stomp. Nakamura beat the 10 count, so Rollins then gave Nakamura a Falcon Arrow off the platform through 2 tables below. Crowd was chanting, "Holy shit." Rollins somehow managed to beat the 10 count. Nakamura did not. Therefore, still your World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freaking Rollins. No cash in. Seth Rollins stood tall, celebrated with the fans in the stands as the pay-per-view went off the air. Like I said, excellent main event, even though I expected Rollins to retain. There were still a couple moments where it looked like maybe Nakamura was going to leave with the title. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat and says, "Why would Priest leave Judgment Day and not Bálor?" Well, if Priest feels like his opportunities are being taken away from him by JD McDonough, and that Finn Bálor is favoring McDonough and McDonough is not being taken out to pasture, like I could see Priest being fed up, or maybe they decide Priest is the weak link of the group and they kick him out. But I could definitely see something going down with Judgment Day at some point and some kind of major departure. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. Says, "Seriously, will WWE ever have their first male Japanese WWE World Champion? And no, Yokozuna does not count as he's actually Samoan." Kayfabe, Psycho Jet Black, but as far as shoot Japanese wrestler being WWE champion, I'm not sure there's anybody on the horizon right now, but maybe five years from now, maybe they do sign somebody like Okada one day, or maybe they sign Takeshita away from AEW. I could see one of those guys maybe down the line being a serious contender. Not going to be Nakamura, but I could see it being one of those guys. So overall, I give the show a B+. Like I don't think it was a top tier WWE pay-per-view. I don't think it was the best one of the year. Maybe not even top 3 or 4 or even 5, but it was still a very good show for a filler B pay-per-view. I think it was really strong, and every match got a good amount of time. 5 matches, keep it short and sweet, just under 3 hours. Solid entertainment. And nothing was bad on the show either. So, I mean, from start to finish, very enjoyable show. Like there was really no weak match on the entire card. So I'm almost tempted to give it an A-, but I think I'll go B+. We got Carlito's return. So yeah, I very much enjoyed the show, and looking forward to what's to come. We got Crown Jewel, we got Survivor Series, and WWE's hot right now. They're doing very well. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. I appreciate your viewership and support. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a comment. Let me know your favorite match of the show. Leave that comment on YouTube. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. And remember, say yeah to NoDQ.com. New t-shirt coming soon. and I will see you all next time.